if you would lead us off in table topics.
So, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, good evening, good morning. The purpose of Topics Master is to facilitate topics, and that is where guests and members will have the opportunity to practice what we Irish call the gift of the gab. I will introduce each topic and call on speakers to orate for 2 minutes or a little less, Pat, on each subject. Kate has created the topics for today, which I am going to present to everybody. So on that basis, she has chosen a theme of the day, which is going to revolve around existentialism, the theory to emphasize the existence of the individual. If I may, Madam Toastmaster, if you wouldn't mind, just keep an eye on the time for me. I believe the topics are a short period today. To that end, I have our opening scene, and I believe you've seen this previously from Kate. So if I might, Sandra, would you please choose one of the 8 images that are on screen in front of everybody at this point?
Number 1.
Number 1. Number 1 is wisdom or intelligence, the more useful facet. Sandra, 2 minutes on that topic, please.
I would go with wisdom on the answer to this. You can learn as much as you can from a book, but unless you're wise enough to take lessons learned from others, it may just be a practice in futility. Wisdom is also something that can be shared a lot more readily through stories. And I think stories are a great way to get a message across. People open up their hearts to a story, not so much to a lecture like you would in a classroom. So for that, I'm going to go with wisdom, and that is also the wisdom to keep your ears open and learn from others. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in that case, moving on and just putting the options on screen in front of everybody again. If I may move on, I'm so tempted to choose Kate, but I'm not going to do. Harold, would you please choose one of the images that's available?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters. Number 3.
Number 3 it is. So on number 3, the options that we have are, how can you give yourself without losing yourself?
That's a profound question. How can you give yourself without losing yourself? As selfish as I am, I don't give myself, but that's all right. Fellow Toastmasters, how can you give yourself? The heart represents passion. You can be so passionate about your work, about what you're doing, your creativity, you just use up your personal energy. But you have to preserve yourself. You have to preserve yourself physically, mentally, but there's a spiritual dimension. You love that. You want to do it. That's your purpose in life. And you just, as soon as you wake up in the morning, you just go right at it. So you have to take time to pace yourself. Did I say the word pace? Yes. Pace yourself and do just so much to preserve your personal self. We all have to have a purpose and a reason for life, but we also have a physical being, a mental state of mind, and also we have a direction, and we go after it with passion, with energy, with a fervency that this will not stop. But that same fervency can just burn you up. That's right, eat you up to the point you age early and you kick the bucket early. So you have to take your time, rest, eat, and take care of yourself. At the same time, have a purpose and go toward that purpose with a measured approach. I said measured, but still do it because that's your life. While I don't see the timer, I guess I've spoken at least a minute. But again, you have to have a purpose and you have a love for it, a passion. Madam Table Topics Master, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, sir. So moving on, options available again on screen. And this time, Carol, if you would choose one.
Okay, I'll take number 5.
Number 5 it is. Do you have a right to be happy, or should you earn it?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, for that question. Do you have a right to be happy? At some level, everyone has a right to be happy. I believe everybody has a right to basic things, food, housing. On the other hand, you can't expect everything. I know some people who are very encouraged as children. Oh, you're going to be great. And they build up a feeling of themselves as completely powerful and completely needing everything and expecting everything. And then what happens? I mean, this is wonderful. Let's give our children self-esteem. But what happens is they run into reality. No, it's not that simple. You're not going to have things handed to you. So there are certain things you should expect: kindness from people, basic living, but everything beyond that, you need to work for. You can be president of the United States. Well, maybe, but it's not just going to happen unless you work for it. You can be rich. Yes, you can, but you have to work for it. You can have a happy marriage. Yes, of course, but it doesn't just happen. You have to work for it. So everything in life beyond basic existence, you have to work for. And that's part of the excitement of getting it. Wouldn't it be boring if everything just kind of fell out of the sky and landed in your lap? Part of the excitement of living is working, is having goals, is looking forward. So I believe that we can do things, but they are not going to be handed to us, and we need to earn them. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much. Looking at the time, Madam Toastmaster, I think I need to hand back to you at this point. Is that right?
Brian, thank you, thank you. John Scott Oliver, we're ready for you as Table Topics Evaluator.
Oh, how I'd love to be named John Scott Oliver. I'm James Scott Oliver, but I'll take John Scott Oliver. My mom wanted to name me that. Fellow Toastmasters, Madam Table Topics Master, what a great set of table topics. Unfortunately, it was abbreviated because I had to go so long-winded this morning to get our officers in place. In any event, Paul, thank you for stepping in. I appreciate the work that you did, even though we had fewer than normal amount of examples of table topics. Today, my focus is basics in table topics. You know, there's some great things that all of you brought to the table that were the basics of public speaking that I really enjoyed. Sandra was immediate and definitive. She had solid examples. Harold, as always, just exploded with intense energy, gave tactics. And then Carol was spot on. She identified what the table topics was and then kind of went a little bit into the middle of her speech about, well, maybe yes, you have a right to be happy, maybe no. The thing that caught me that I thought was a great basic that Carol brought was when she said, then you run into reality. Just a hammering point, and gosh, you know, it just brought to mind that in table topics, you can still use hand gestures, everybody. You don't have to sit, you know, rock stall, you know, straight up. It just really kind of caught my attention and really lifted me up. I would say to all of you, though, that one of the basics that I learned when I first did table topics is you got to have a solid beginning, a solid middle, and a solid end. And the lack of a solid end, Harold, couldn't have been more clearly identified with your meandering finish. And I think it was because you couldn't see the timer. You kept finishing it and finishing it and finishing it. And I loved it But I was reminded of a time when I sat in church and we had this pastor and he was speaking on and on and on, and his point was made. And it was like, dude, it's over. It's okay to say, thank you, fellow Toastmasters, and be done. It was awesome. But the same point over and over. It's okay to take a deep breath at the beginning of your speech, fellow Table Topics Masters, and sit there and breathe and go, okay, what's the major question? What's my idea? How am I going to clarify it? And how am I going to tie it off? There was an expression that was given to me years ago when I was rambling like I'm rambling now. I was told, hey, Scott, land the plane. Fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you, James.